It's June 217 BC, and Hannibal's army are approaching central Italy. They've crossed the Alps, they've defeated the Romans at the Battle of the River Trebia, and they are threatening to do so further into the Italian peninsula. So the Romans scrambled two consular armies up to try to block them, expecting them either to go along the Adriatic coast, and that avenue was blocked by Servilius Germanus, and then Gaius Flaminius moved up to block the trail through the Apennine Mountains. As usual, Hannibal had something else in mind, and he diverted further to the west, up the Arno River and then through the marshlands that everyone expected would be impassable at that time of year. Apparently a very arduous journey. He allegedly got some eye disease, possibly keratitis, and ended up losing one eye, and lost many troops sucked into the deadly marshes. However, they did manage to pop out eventually in central Italy and surprise the Roman armies who were further to their north. Flaminius was a closer one, and he pursued the Carthaginians relentlessly and got the impression that they were fleeing from him. However, as usual, Hannibal had something more in mind. He came to this site, which he decided was an ideal location for a massive ambush. Came there in the evening, marched his troops along the trail which went right along the Lake Trasimene and round the back, and positioned his troops up on the hill, hidden from view, and made sure they didn't have campfires and were quiet through the night. The Romans camped further away to the left here, and in the morning they proceeded along the trail right along the lake shore. Here Hannibal had a stroke of luck in that there was a large and dense fog that settled over the lake and concealed his troops even further, and made the Roman advance very difficult for the Romans to detect anyone nearby. They marched along blind, not being that interested in scouting, until they bumped into the Libyan heavy infantry who'd blocked the exit along the trail at the end of the hill. At that point, the battle broke out, but the central part of the Roman column really was unaware of what was going on until Hannibal advanced with the general force coming charging down the hill with Gauls and Iberians and Libyans and other Punics right into the startled Roman lines. Smashed into them before they had a chance to really form up. Many got pushed or even retreated into the lake itself. Many drowned in their heavy armour, others were picked off fairly easily by the Carthaginians. The other thing Hannibal did was get his cavalry to come around the back and then block the other exit point from which the Romans had come along the trail. His cavalry significantly outnumbered the Romans and were probably significantly more capable, particularly the Numidians and the Iberian cavalry. He had around 10,000 versus only a few thousand of Roman cavalry, and in fact his entire force outnumbered the Romans significantly too, around 50,000 versus their 30,000, and many of them were made up by Gauls who had recently recruited, who had a score to settle, particularly with the Roman commander Gaius Flaminius, who had been responsible for many defeats on the Gauls and encouraging Roman settlement in what was previously their land. He was speared and chopped to pieces, so much so that Hannibal was unable to recognise his body at the end of the battle. The vast majority of Romans were either killed or captured, about 15,000 of each. A small force did manage to burst its way through the encirclement, and about 6,000 of them got away, although the Numidian cavalry caught up with them at a later date. But their methods and their heavy infantry impressed Hannibal, so much so that he ensured that a lot of their equipment was looted, and some of his troops were retrained to be a little bit more in the mould of the heavy Roman infantry. So despite the fact that he completely defeated them and outmastered them, he was still interested in their methods and learned from their greatest capabilities and tried to emulate them. This diorama, if you're interested, I made a few years ago. It took quite some time, as you can imagine. Lots of different components from different manufacturers. We've got a little bit of Victrix stuff, These metal heavy Libyan guys are from Crusader Miniatures. Got some of the old Field of Glory Romans. The Gauls are a mixture of Warlord Games, and some of the Iberians there, Kit Bash, some of them are metal, also from Warlord Games. What have we got in terms of cavalry? A lot of them are the Field of Glory ones, which to be honest are not brilliant sculpts, particularly the horses. And then the lake itself is made from 2-part epoxy resin. I put a few little fish in there, and I put some dyes in just to give it that green colour, and also obviously the blood splatters around the unfortunate Romans here. All the greenery, trees and so on are actual small shrubs that I've just trimmed and preserved, sprayed with some lacquer, and there they are. The whole thing's made in 3 parts, so it's sort of a little bit more mobile, movable. There you go. Hope you like it. Anyway, if you've got any comments, let me know, and as ever, I'll be back with another video quite soon. See ya.